Hello everyone, this is Paukshta Fashion Workshop. I remind you that we post new videos every day. Today we continue working with the frock coat. We've already showed you the pattern making and the cutting. Let's have a look at the sketch once again. This is how the frock coat is going to look like. Let's have a look at the table. We've already doubled the details with the interfacing material. We did it off the camera. The fabric is much stronger now. What about the back? It's doubled and trimmed. We've made the space and seams on the vent. There are also the space and seams on the darts. We need to tack the shoulder darts and the center back first. After that, we'll tack the back details to the front ones. This is how the front details look like now. Ira is making the space and seams on the center front. This is how the chest darts look like now. I haven't changed anything yet. I'm not sure that it won't be necessary to change something, to move it higher or lower. We are going to show you how to tack the darts, the side and the shoulder seams, and the overcast. When it's done, I'll try the frock coat on. I can't wait to show you the finished garment. Have a look at the front detail once again. There are the space and seams on the dart and the center front. I remind you that the details are doubled with the interfacing material. We're going to tack the back first. The front details can be moved aside. This is how they look like from the wrong side. These details will be cut when the darts are stitched. Let's move on to working with the back details. We need to tack the center back and the shoulder darts. When it's done, we'll move on to working with the front. We are taking the shoulder darts. I recommend moving the shoulder darts to the back neckline in such garments. Have a close look here. If one of the dart legs is longer than the other one after taking, it's absolutely okay. Don't stretch or gather the fabric. The extra pieces will be just cut later. This is very important. Do not try to gather the fabric. The darts are perfect. The only seam left to be tacked in the back detail is the center back. I remind you that the center back seam is 2 cm wide. Notice that we are taking the center back together. We're doing it this way in order not to waste time. Don't ever tack the details on your knees. This is a rule. Tack the garments on the table. I've already told you that a lot of times. The center back seam is almost ready. Ira, tack the vent, please. I'm going to tack the top of the seam to the wrong side. I want it to be smooth and beautiful at the first fitting. Don't be lazy. What I'm doing now is not a waste of time. Tack the seams close to the wrong side for a fitting if you want to see the way the garment is actually going to fit you. I remind you that the frock coat is not going to be close-fitting. It's going to be pretty loose. This is how the back looks like now. The darts are perfect. We need to cut the extra pieces here. We'll do it later. I remind you that the fabric shouldn't be gathered or stretched for tacking. I remind you that we've added 3 cm wide extension to the side seams. We're not going to make the seams that wide. 2.5 cm would be enough. We'll make them wider after a fitting if needed. I'm taking the center back. When you reach the vent, make a couple of stitches to the side. It should be done for you to see the height of the vent at the fitting. The back is ready. Let's move on to working with the front. We need to be very attentive. Move these details aside. I need to draw the side seam for tacking. I'll make it 2.5 cm wide. We'll be taking the side seams according to these marks. I don't want the frock coat to be close-fitting, but I don't want it to be baggy either. Have a look here. I remind you that there will be a pocket here. The width of the pocket opening will be 15 centimeters. I remind you that there will also be an underlay piece here. I'll take it into consideration when cutting the extra piece from the dart after the fitting. Do not forget about the underlay pieces. This is very important. Anyway, now I need to tack the darts for the fitting. I remind you that the darts should always be tacked from the top and stitched towards the top. This is a must. First, I need to mark the center of the dart. Natalie has taught me this technique. I recommend you checking if the line is accurate after drawing it. Have a close look at the way I'm taking the dart. I'm making sure that I'm taking the details accurately. It's very important to get right in the spacing seams. I'm so happy that I've decided to make a frock coat for myself. Classic designs are the best. Sometimes I pretend that I'm a serious businesswoman. I need to have some appropriate clothes for such occasions. Watch the way I'm working. I control the tacking process with the fingers from the other side. I can't wait to try the tacked frock coat on. I'm pretty sure that the details will be perfect. I'm also sure that you won't be afraid of working with such fabrics after watching these videos. This is how the tacked dart looks like now. It's almost perfect. The edge should be altered a bit. I remind you that I made the dart legs slightly round. This is why this part looks as if it's too big. The frock coat will fit the body perfectly. Let's have a look at it. Very beautiful. I'm sure about it, even though I can't see myself in the mirror. The dart is perfect. I can't wait to try the tacked frock coat on. Next, I need to tack the dart in the second front detail. I need to mark the center of the dart first. It's very convenient to tack the darts this way. That's it. I can start taking the second dart now. First, I need to fold it according to this line, just like the first one. I remind you that I need to control the taking process with the fingers on the other side. I remind you that the dart should be tacked down from the top. The tacking will be removed after the fitting. I need to alter these details a bit. I don't know why, but I've marked the waistline just in one of the details. I need to mark it in the second one as well. This is very important. This is the back. And these are the front details. I need to pin the side seams next. Do not pay attention to the darts. These details will be cut later. What about the length? Perfect. Let's start taking. I remind you that we shouldn't pay attention to these details. We'll pin the side seam this way. We're not going to alter any details or edges now. We'll do it when the coat is stitched. What we need to do now is to prepare the frock coat for the fitting. We've tacked the side seam. Notice that we haven't tacked the dart to any of the sides yet. It is going to be cut later. I want to alter this edge a bit. It should be straight at the fitting. I'm not going to change anything else now. I'll do it when the darts are ready. Next, we need to tack the shoulder seams and the bottom overcast. I'm going to make the overcast 5 cm wide for the fitting. Ira is going to tack the shoulder seams. When it's done, I'll try the frock coat on. I'm going to tell you everything about the darts after the fitting. I'm taking the overcast by side. I've decided to make the overcast wider than usual because I wasn't sure of whether it will be complicated to stitch this fabric or not. The frock coat is almost ready for the fitting. The frock coat is tacked. The side seams, the chest and the shoulder darts, the shoulder seams, the center back, the overcast. I remind you that the overcast was made wider than usual. I've tacked it by side. There are the spacing seams on the center front. The vent on the back is also tacked. That's all for today. Next time, I'm going to try the tacked frock coat on. We're Paukšte Irina and Ira. Subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Goodbye.